Your worst enemy. When we think about opposition, when we think about enemies, we mostly think about people. We don't really think about ourselves. Yet, we are our worst enemy. See, the greatest battles we will ever fight are against ourselves. It is often easier to outsmart somebody than ourselves. Why? Because outsmarting ourselves requires a great level of self-awareness, devotion, clarity. It requires us to be really objective. But what is a more sensitive topic than our own person? The amount of love that we have for ourselves, how we perceive ourselves, the relationship we have with ourselves often lead us to be biased, in contradiction with what we want, not understanding what is happening, what we may do wrong, and so it makes it hard to critically evaluate ourselves. This is where the greatest battles begin. It is easier sometimes to understand and relate to people, easier to analyze them, to try to predict them, sometimes easier to be objective and critical about them. But what about us? We cannot get out of our own self to gain perspective, or can we? We cannot separate ourselves from who we are. What is the outcome when our own mind is working against us? What's the result when we are a victim of our own thinking pattern? How can we overcome being blinded by our ego? How to fight back when our mind is parasitized by negative thoughts? Self-awareness, devotion, clarity, being objective. These are some of the key components if we want to fight against ourselves. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is the conscious knowledge and understanding of our own character, feelings, motives, and desires. It's much needed to understand ourselves. Devotion is needed because the fight against ourselves can last forever. Clarity. Clarity is the quality of being coherent and intelligible. It's also the quality of transparency or purity. But the clarity we talk about is regarding ourselves. And one of the ways to obtain this clarity is through introspection. That is the examination or observation of our own mental and emotional processes. Being objective. Being objective means based on real facts and not influenced by personal beliefs or feelings. That is what we need to analyze ourselves, work on ourselves, better ourselves, take care of ourselves. Fighting against ourselves is so hard, yet not impossible. It's better to be in our own corner. It's better to be our greatest ally than worst enemy. And for that, we cannot let the amount of love that we have for ourselves, how we perceive ourselves, the relationship we have with ourselves, lead us to be biased. We cannot be in contradiction with what we want, not understanding what is happening, what we may do wrong. Let our mind work against us. Being victim of our own thinking pattern, being blinded by our ego. Let our mind be excessively parasitized by negative thoughts. We want to be in harmony with ourselves, being able to critically evaluate ourselves, and don't let our self-love and self-awareness cloud up our judgment. You are your worst enemy, but also your greatest ally. This is a battle of a lifetime.